This heinous murder, so inconceivable that even now, almost 40 years later, the case is as shocking as it was in 1987, when a beautiful 19-year-old young woman was found shot to death, stripped of her clothes, and dumped naked down an embankment in the Great Dismal Swamp. The tragic story of Kathy Bonney follows. Make sure to watch until the end when I offer my own interpretation of what I believe was the real motive for her murder. Sunday morning, November 22nd, 1987, Tom Bonney, the owner of a local auto parts salvage business, walked into the Chesapeake, Virginia Police Department to report his 19-year-old daughter, Kathy, was missing. Bonney explained that the night before, he had received a call at home from a man interested in selling him a used Chevy Blazer. He arranged for his daughter to take a look at it because she was looking to buy a four-wheel drive truck. He and Kathy met the man about 9 o'clock at the 7-Eleven store not far from where they lived. When the Blazer pulled up beside them, Kathy called the man John, so he assumed she knew him. She got in the truck with John and drove off with him. Bonney said that was the last time he saw his daughter. He wasn't too worried, though, because she had stayed out all night before. The detective noted that Bonney appeared nervous. He informed him that he would have to wait 24 hours before filing a missing persons report because his daughter was considered an adult. Bonney told the detective that Kathy had left her purse behind in his car. He handed the officer her driver's license and left the station. Later that day, about 2 p.m., Wesley Lindquist drove his truck from Chesapeake, Virginia to the outskirts of Elizabeth City, North Carolina. When he headed back toward Virginia on Highway 17, Lindquist stopped near the Virginia-North Carolina state line along the Dismal Swamp Canal and reflected for a few hours. While walking along the canal, he looked down into a brush-filled rocky embankment and saw the nude body of a young woman. He reached down and touched the heel of her foot. Lindquist rushed to his truck, drove up the highway, and called the police around 3 p.m. Officers arrived approximately 15 minutes later. The North Carolina State Police came to the scene and questioned Wesley Lindquist, who was quickly ruled out as a suspect and allowed to leave. Other officers began collecting evidence. A dive team with the department arrived to perform an evidence search. The first observation was that the body must have been dumped because no one could have carried it down the bank. Detective Marty Williams with the Chesapeake Police had been one of the first officials to arrive at the scene.
All the clothes have been removed from the body. We even found pieces of the clothes hanging from the tree above the body. But you could easily see a lot of bullet wounds in the torso area as well as in the facial area.
She had been shot so many times that bullet wounds had destroyed her face. Identification would have to be made by her fingerprints. Numerous wounds other than bullet holes were on the body, including scratch marks, a bloody foot or palm print in the middle of her chest, and a missing front tooth. Small trees around the body were riddled with bullet holes in the limbs. Fibers from small trees were observed in her hair. A green sweater and bloody teddy with a ripped bottom were recovered from the water near the body. No gun or shell casings were found in the area where the body was discovered. Oddly, no blood was found on the ground, although a moderate amount was on the dead girl's body. That same day at 6:42 p.m., Thomas Bonney called the Chesapeake Police Department and said his daughter was still missing. He wanted to file a missing persons report. An officer was dispatched to his residence and took a missing persons report. While at the house, the officer received a call. He took Kathy's driver's license and went to the crime scene. At the crime scene, despite the aid of Kathy's driver's license, Detective Williams was unable to make a positive identification of the victim. Later that evening, he telephoned Tom Bonney.
Told him I had his report of his daughter missing, and I wanted to come by and talk to him. This is 10 o'clock at night. He didn't want to talk to me. I told him I wanted to get a better picture of his daughter. He said he would leave one in the mailbox, and he hung up.
The next day, Monday, November 23rd, Detective Williams tracked Bonney down at his auto salvage company, where Kathy worked as a secretary. Bonney was anxious to tell him that Kathy was having an affair with a married man. His name was John Hoskins, an ex-employee he'd fired 10 days ago when he had learned about the affair. He went on to tell Williams that he had been looking through Kathy's bedroom and had found a sexually explicit letter in her diary.
The letter was very graphic in nature about how his daughter was having a relationship with a married man. And I took the letter from him and I read it and I folded it up, put it in my pocket. He said, I want that letter back. I said, you can't have it, it's evidence. That kind of set him back. He lost control for a minute.
By now, local reporters were on the story and interviewed Tom and Dorothy Bonney about their missing daughter. Tom presented himself as a hard-working man struggling to provide for his family.
He was very soft-spoken, seemed to be very concerned for his daughter, and he projected this image of, that he wanted people to think that his family, they had all these kids, that they were like the Waltons.
By all accounts, 19-year-old Kathy Bonney was an ideal daughter, cheerful and generous, concerned about the well-being of her younger siblings.
Sometimes I go to the store and I didn't have enough money to get something with. She said, Mom, don't worry about it. I got some money. I'll help you. And she'd give me a couple of dollars to buy some food or something with, or to buy some milk. Or if the baby needed something, I didn't have enough money, she would go out there and get it.
She was basically the mother of that family. She did the grocery shopping, she did the laundry, she did the cooking, she did the cleaning. She made sure her brothers and sisters had lunch when they went to school.
Still trying to identify the body, Detective Williams and other officers returned to the Bonney residence on Tuesday, November the 24th to dust Kathy's room for fingerprints. On Wednesday, November 25th, 1987, the body of the victim was identified as that of Kathy Bonney by matching the fingerprints of the body with those lifted from her room. Detective Williams returned to the Bonney residence to notify the family.
I looked Tom in the eye. I said, Tom, it's Kathy. Kathy's dead. Mrs. Bonney burst out saying, oh my God. Tom Bonney jumped up and grabbed his chest as though he was having a heart attack and fell on the floor and was hyperventilating and screaming and hollering. He was going to die. We had to call the medic units for him. His own mother kind of looked at him in disgust, like, what are you doing? So it was obvious to his own mother that he was putting on a performance. It was obvious to us as well he's putting on a performance.
Even so, investigators questioned every possible suspect named John and kept searching for the Jeep Tom Bonney had described. Bonney agreed to help police with a composite sketch of the man he claimed to have seen Kathy drive away with. But the sketch bore an uncanny resemblance to the police artist. By now, the authorities were fairly certain there was no mysterious killer named John, and that Kathy had been murdered by someone much closer to home. After the composite drawing, Detective Williams talked to Bonney again about the description of the man named John. Bonney told him for the first time that he drove Kathy to the 7-Eleven store in the wrecker. Previously, he had said the Chevrolet. Bonney also reported to him for the first time that his .22 caliber sawed-off rifle had been stolen from his wrecker. Distraught about her sister's disappearance, Susan Bonney, Kathy's 16-year-old sister, told police that after her father and Kathy left, she sneaked out of the house and walked to the 7-Eleven store where she saw her father and Kathy sitting in the car. They left together soon thereafter. Approximately 2 hours later, her father returned home and asked where Kathy was. No one in the family had seen her. Later that night, Susan went outside and looked into the car and saw blood on the seat. She returned to the 7-Eleven store to look for Kathy. She told her mother about the blood, who rationalized that he must have picked up a dead animal. Her father did not go out looking for Kathy that night. Dorothy never mentioned the blood to her husband. Kathy Bonney was so angry. First, her letter to John, now her diary. There was nothing her father could say to change her mind this time. Squeals from the Chevy's brakes pulling up next to the front porch broke the daze Kathy was in. She bit her lip and stiffened her chin as she watched her father get out of the car and come in the house. She moved closer to the door in her bedroom and listened to what was being said on the other side. Before she could move away from the door, her father pushed it open and stood in the doorway. "I talked to a fella who's looking to sell a good-looking blazer real cheap. We can see it tonight, and if you want it, we'll get it." Completely disarmed, Kathy forgot how angry she was with her father. She followed him into the living room where he announced the good news to the rest of the family. He told them, "We'll be back soon if things don't work out." Susan hurried out of her room. "Can I go, Daddy?" Tom Bonney's reply to his second oldest daughter was, "Help your mama in the kitchen." Tom Bonney drove into a parking space in front of the 7-Eleven, then looked straight ahead inside the store while the car engine kept running. After several minutes of awkward silence, Kathy asked, "What's the man's name?" For the first time since driving up, he looked at her and said in almost a whisper, "His name is John." Kathy's heartbeat quickened. With as much gumption as she could muster, she told him firmly, "I changed my mind. I want to go back home." Not saying a word, he backed out of the parking space, made a right onto Dominion Boulevard, and headed south on Highway 17. Kathy stared at the side of his face. Whether it was anger from her father speeding down the dark highway where they had passed only one car in 15 minutes, or from her desperation to be free of his obsession, she blurted out, "There was never a blazer. You disgust me." Tom Bonney swerved off the highway and drove down into a secluded area off of Highway 17 that was camouflaged by trees and bushes in the Dismal Swamp Canal. The car came to an abrupt stop. He turned off the ignition and shut down the headlights. Kathy's eyes were white and wide in the pitch-black car. Her voice was shaky. "I'm sorry, Daddy. Please try to understand. I'm ashamed. Please let me go." She leaned back into the car door, reached behind her and opened it. When the door swung out, she fell back, head first on the icy dirt. Tom Bonney's murder case brought a media circus to my small hometown of Elizabeth City, North Carolina, where the trial lasted for 7 months. The state had acquired a pile of circumstantial and forensic evidence in the case. Bonney's defense was confident that Dr. Paul F. Dell, a psychiatry professor at Norfolk's Eastern Virginia Medical School, would be their most important witness. Dr. Dell had heard about Bonney's case through the media. He contacted Bonney's court-appointed attorneys and told them that he believed Bonney had multiple personalities, which would change his charge to not guilty by reason of insanity. Tom Bonney's defense quickly agreed and retained him as an expert witness. After conducting several interviews with Bonney, Dell confirmed his initial diagnosis that Tom Bonney had multiple personalities. He identified 10 separate personalities in Bonney. Jurors watched a videotape of Bonney under hypnosis as multiple personalities came forward and described Kathy's murder.
Kathy's gonna kill you. He's gonna kill you. Cannot do anything. Are you alright? Why do you look like that? What's the matter? Get back in the car. Oh, he's done shot you. Oh my God. Don't let him shoot you.
I'm not very strong. He told the truth a little bit. They did get a tough and cold by a stupid truck, and they was gonna go look at it. He was going down Cedar Road, supposed to make a right. Route 17, there's a 7-Eleven down there. He was telling the truth, but I fixed it. I fixed him. Instead of making a right turn, he made a left. He's so stupid. He's a wimp.
Did you control him making the left?
Yes, and more than that. Control. He's gonna talk to her about that stupid letter. She was real embarrassed. And he sat there talking real nice, and she was so sorry for this, and she's so sorry for that.
In rebuttal, the prosecution presented Dr. Philip Coons, an expert in clinical psychiatry, multiple personality disorder, and hypnosis. He had reviewed approximately 13 hours of the videotapes of the interviews between Bonney and Dr. Dell, as well as the tests given by Dr. Dell. Although Dr. Coons did not interview Bonney and made no diagnosis of Bonney, he was critical of Dell's methods in multiple points. According to him, Dell had not conducted a proper psychiatric interview at the beginning, allowed Bonney to ramble, asked him leading questions, and improperly suggested to Bonney that he might have other personalities while Bonney was under hypnosis. In his opinion, Coons added, "The death of a family member was not sufficient to induce dissociative identity disorder." An expert in forensic psychiatry testified that based on his evaluation, Bonney had serious mental problems and defective reasoning, but concluded that at the time of the killing, Bonney understood the repercussions of his actions.
Mr. Bonney, are there demons in your head?
I sure hope not.
On November 5th, 2007, after several mistrial motions, a second trial that converted his death sentence to life, and an elaborate escape, Thomas Bonney finally began serving his life sentence for the first-degree murder of his 19-year-old daughter, Kathy Carol Bonney, who he mercilessly shot 27 times and then dumped her naked body down an embankment near the Great Dismal Swamp. At 93 years old, Thomas Lee Bonney is one of the oldest incarcerated inmates in the United States. He is currently housed at Hyde Correctional Institution, a minimum custody prison in Swan Quarter, North Carolina.